The observer would like to advise that the following video comes with a trigger warning. The content in this video is of a sensitive nature, so please beware that the topic of this video may trigger you. The observer recommends that you consider your own mental health before you watch this video.
We'll all have beach body soon. Literally. Yeah, of course you can, Jem. Ask anything you want. I think I've been pretty open about my Manjari thing, probably too honest at times. Like my little pumpkin cup that Taylor bought for me. She bought me a little pumpkin cup off of Shein, with my own money, of course. So look what I bought you. I'm like, who paid? What's my bank details? Why do you need my bank details? Do you have the injection for everyone? She's like, no. So, oh, if we're asking anything. Hello, Gray. So what I think happens, Jem, is, just let me answer this first. So I think what happens is you take it and you keep upping it when you stop losing weight, and when you get to your goal weight, you have to go back down to the 2.5 for a certain period of time. I think someone said like 3 months or something to maintain it, and it should have changed your eating habits by then, hopefully. That would be my answer. 30 pounds in 3 weeks, that's brilliant. Can I just do a vote and just see how many people are actually taking some form of diet injection at the moment in here? Put a smiley face if you are, and a crying face if you're not. Just seems like every second comment is someone who's taking it. So there's a lot. Thank you, Gray. So there's still quite a lot of people in here on one. Okay. We also have, in the Discord, we have a Manjari folder where people are like advising each other through it, kind of asking questions, and kind of, there's people in there who've been on it a lot longer who can kind of advise people. So there is a Manjari folder in there. It's expensive. It is expensive. Yeah, I heard that if you've got diabetes at all, you're not supposed to take this particular one. Who's messaging you on Insta? Oh, you want to know who's in my DMs? Absolutely no males at all. Normally people about the Jay Slater case are in my DMs. Someone just sent me a weird picture of Johnny Vegas that I'm not sure I've ever seen before, but I think I might have had one message from a man earlier on saying, thanks for the ad, beautiful. And then he sent me a message saying, smile, as if he was watching me live. Which, can people please stop doing that, because it just really freaks me out when I'm live and people message me things which I didn't see. Thank you for asking that question. Now I'm about to phone the police. Yeah. And you do message me on Insta as well. Down to say that's brilliant, Sarah. You can get it in Ireland, because one of my Irish mods is on it. Let's have a Hayley Q&A night. How much is it? I think I paid $2.70 for 8 weeks, I think. Thank you, Julie. But there is discount codes I didn't know existed, so I think you could get it for, I think they're like 15 or 20% off. I didn't even bother calling my doctor, to be fair, because I know if they said no, then I would have done it anyway, and then I would have been going, So Meg, I was on 2.5, then I went up to 5. 5 was making me really ill, so this week I pretended I was going to do 2.5 to everyone, so they didn't shout at me, and then I did 3.7. You can only get in the north of Ireland, okay. I'm 6 stone in 2 years, but found out I got Crohn's disease. Oh wow, I'm so sorry. Thank you guys for all the ghosts as well. Lost one. Oh, thank you, Jasper. That literally, I was staring at that too intently then, I got right shock. I lost one in 1 week, 8.8 pounds. That's amazing. Please be careful, Manjaro. I will, Holly. I'm not very good at being careful. I'm a little bit of one of those people that just likes to live by the seat of my pants. I'd just like to apologise once more for yesterday's comment about the fox. It did come out the wrong way. And I am a wild card. I've literally been thinking back on it several times today and thinking, oh, I hope no one screen recorded that. I hope that's not on the FYP. I just think I made it worse myself with the just over-explaining of the situation. I didn't actually want to do that with a fox. Well, if I just left it, it would have been absolutely fine. Literally, But it was one of those comments that I made, and as I made it, I was like, oh! You screen recorded, you edited it out. Observer, I knew there was a reason I loved you. I screen recorded, but I edited it out when you said that about the fox. That's why you should always mod the screen recorders. No, I'm joking, Observer. Thank you for the videos you sent me today about the cases as well, because you always send me good cases I've never seen. A lot of people do mystery cases, but you always, like, literally, you and Faith as well. Faith does it as well about 3 or 4 times a day. I'll get a message and I'll be like, oh. So Planet Lily, I think the Ozempic one is for people with diabetes, and the Mounjaro one is supposed to be not. I think we need a foxtail god. Yeehaw, thank you, beauty. Can you do the treadmill murder? I have done it recently, Nat. Not here for gossip. I don't know why my gossip is I've taken gossip out my thing, isn't it? Unless you mean you don't like me talking now, you're just here for the crime. How's he safe? I'm just like literally waiting for Sal to get home from work. I was just going to give it a couple of minutes. I haven't done it in a video, I did it on a live. I don't know if Observer got that live or not. If everyone follows the Observer UK on YouTube, then quite often, 90% of the time, she'll have my live screen recorded. And they'll be up on YouTube, which I know is where a lot of people catch them now, because if you've got work or whatever, or I'm a little bit late. Have you covered about Sherry Smith and what he did to a baby? I think I've done videos about that, but not live. The Observer is awesome, because a lot of the times I don't know she's in here, because she's recording several things at once, and then the next day I'll be like, oh, I'm going to download that live, it's going to take me ages, and I'm going to have to edit it, and then I'm going to put it on YouTube, and then she'll be like, got it. I'm like, done, thank you. Yeah, if people aren't here to literally listen to me talk for 5 minutes or whatever, or you can't bear to, then I'm probably not the live for you, to be fair. The thing about here is that we have like a whole community feel, and we actually really care about each other, what we've been up to, what people have been doing, and all the rest of it. So it's not just like, I'm not like a robot where I just come on and regurgitate crime for you guys and then just kind of get off. Hey, Sal. I did see you sneak in when you were at work today, Jamie. I do like a little random chat. I think a lot of us, because we're at home all day with just our children, we don't get to have like normal conversations sometimes if you haven't got like a partner at home or something. I think sometimes it's nice to just have a little chat, like you've been desperate all day to have a conversation with someone. Hey, Sal. It's a family feeling, isn't it? It's nice vibes. So we are going to talk about Noah Donohoe's case tonight, which is a really hard case to cover. And there has been lots of things like come out since I last covered the case. There's been at least 2 or 3 things come out since then. And some things were things that Fiona Donohoe's only found out recently because certain things have been held back from her. So we'll be talking about that in probably the next 5 minutes. We'll start. Thank you for all the help, me guys, and the gifts and the pumpkins and stuff. Thank you so much. I know, Lily. I think it's a really important one because we're going to be going live with Fiona soon after the inquest thing is complete. And I kind of wanted to do the story first of all so that she didn't have to go through the really hard things for her, or she can just like kind of talk about what she wants to talk about rather than feeling like she has to go through some of the worst moments for Noah. Sarah Sharif. So Sarah Sharif's case has not been in court for the last 2 days. Yesterday they weren't in session in court, and then today I believe that due to the fact that there has been loads of protests happening outside the Old Bailey due to the Chris Cabba murder, then I believe they wouldn't have had anyone in court today. So I have been doing loads of regular checks. I'm hoping they're back in court tomorrow because the whole thing's being really drawn out, and I think Sarah deserves her justice. So yeah, comic crime. Thanks, Laura. I'm going to have a little bit more of the coffee before we start. Yeah, Observer is here now, so I imagine it will be on YouTube. Who's your sister, Heidi? I get really confused between cases and stuff, but thank you for coming in today. Thank you, that means the world. I'm actually watching it on another live. No, she's in court right now. Who's in court right now? Hey, Charlie. You're my favourite, but I hate gossip. I don't think it is gossip, Cal. Like, we're not gossiping about anyone in particular. We're actually just talking about life, like what people have for dinner and diet injections and just kind of nice. I would say gossiping if I was like, oh, guess what? You know, this girl on the app, she's this. Like, we're not gossiping. We're just talking about life and a little like introduction to get people in the room so people can all be here. So I think, oh, okay. So I think gossiping is a bit of a harsh word for just hanging out together and be a community. Yeah. Perranporth Beach. Oh, lush. Do you have a nice time? Thank you, Cal. It's just nice, isn't it? Because if you all come in here every day and I just start firing crime at you, then it's not really a community. It's not like I care about you guys or you guys care about. It's just a little bit, you know. I would record on YouTube if I didn't want to have a community. Hey, Philomena. Yeah. Yeah, same here, Lulu. I spend a lot of day on my own, or being attacked by Tegan. Seductive YouTube. Hey, Bob. It's an icebreaker, yeah. It's just a way of saying hi and just making sure everyone gets a chance, because the notifications don't go out very much on TikTok anymore. It kind of gives everyone a chance to come in. Otherwise, I start the case straight away and people come in and they're like, what have I missed? What have I missed? And then the mods spend their whole time kind of updating everyone, then they miss the case. And it just kind of gets a little bit like, it just gives people time to come in when we're live. Yeah, Lulu, it's I have a fun to spend my time being absolutely terrorised by Tegan, beaten up by Tori, or ignored by Taylor. Taylor's just too chill, she hasn't got time for anyone else. Lurking and listening, I love that. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I think a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people just like, you know, I'm on my own and I just come in the evening and everyone in here will say hi to me and know who I am and kind of just be there for each other. I think it's nice. Studying got you on. At least you won't fall asleep if you're studying, Sophie. Hey, Julie. Thanks, Meg. That's a lovely thing together. That's a lovely thing to say. Yeah, so just for people just coming in, there was some sad news today that, what do I want to say? Victoria Taylor from Milton was found. She was found in the River Derwent today at 11:45 AM this morning. Her body was pulled from the river there. I know it's a case everyone's kind of been a little bit invested in, but the media hype around this one wasn't like Nicola Bulley. But I did put a video up, but we have to, Taylor hasn't got an ear infection, yeah. So I just think we just need to spare a fortnight for her 2-year-old daughter, her fiance, her sisters, her family, her friends. River again, yeah. She was 34 years of age, you know, and she had so much of life ahead of her, a young mother. So I just want to go, Hayley, GoFundMe buy. What's the GoFundMe for? For funeral expenses. I just, my heart breaks for her family today. Funeral. Thank you, Raindrops. Raindrops, who's in here, is actually one of Victoria's friends. Yeah, it's so sad. It's really sad, and it's so that mental health help in this country needs to be so much stronger. We're losing too many young lives. Right, it's only quarter past. We'll start with the Noah Donohoe case tonight. We're going to go through what happened. This is a really sad case. It's a really tragic case because we're talking about a 14-year-old boy who died in really mysterious circumstances in Belfast, and the people, the authorities, tried so hard just to say, look, he's done this himself, it's been an accident, you know, this has just happened. And his mum, Fiona, since day one has been saying, nah, someone murdered my son. Something's happened here. Like, explain to me this, thank you guys for the gift, explain to me how this happened, explain to me how that happened, like, give me the answers. Like, that's all she wants is answers. And over time, every now and again, something massive is released. That we know the PSNI have known since the beginning, and they've only just told his mum. Again, we had something like that last week, which we will go through it in order. But this is a mother who, thank you, Christina, who was such an awesome mother to Noah. They had such an amazing bond, and you can see every time that she talks about her son, like how much he means to her, how much he meant to her, how much she loves him. Like, but it's like at the moment it's her and her sister marching together, just trying so hard to get people just to listen and just to give justice to Noah. It's absolutely devastating. So I'm going to get a picture up of Noah and get my notes open at the same time. Thank you guys for the gifts. Open up. Reload. How did I know what happened? Let me get a picture of Noah up. Thank you guys for the pumpkins. Okay. Are my notes going to open, or are they going to keep saying? There we go. Okay. I'm just going to say, before I start this case, I have tried my absolute hardest, because to be able to cover Noah's case properly, I need to give you some context of kind of what goes on in Belfast and the kind of background of certain situations around there in order to be able to tell Noah's story properly. And I've really tried really hard to try and put that into words. I'm not from there. I don't know if I'm 100% correct. I've done the best research I can. But in the grand scheme of things, I just want to give you a little bit of background in order to tell his story. So please forgive me if I get anything wrong. You can always say it in the comments, like, I'm trying my hardest to understand. I really want to be able to understand. But we're going to have to talk about the north and south of Belfast and the kind of Catholic Protestant thing, just to be able to explain a little bit of context to the case, because I do think it's important in Noah's case. So North and South Belfast are both mixed. Plenty of Catholic and Protestant areas exist in both. However, like everywhere in Northern Ireland, these areas are segregated. One estate for Catholics, a net for Protestants, etc. Sectarian tensions have been flaring in recent years due to various political issues. In particular, many Unionists feel betrayed by the UK and threatened by the growing nationalists, which are mainly Catholic, and the Unionists are mainly Protestant. Is that right? Am I getting that right? There were also racial tensions flaring when this happened in June of 2020 due to the BLM, Black Lives Matter protests in the US and the UK. For some of these protests and the thoughts of others being treated equally and fairly is threatening to what they believe in. And finally, I want to say the police force in Northern Ireland is called the PSNI, which I'll be talking about a lot in this case. And they are constantly facing criticism in Northern Ireland for favouring one side or the other of the community, whether it be Catholics or Protestant. They kind of turn a blind eye to a lot of things happening in certain areas. And I feel really bad saying it because I'm not from there, but there seems to me, from everything I look into, there is so much corruption going on. And this case is a perfect example of when it's glaringly obvious that evidence keeps coming up and weird things keep happening and there's loads of unanswered questions. You know, from day one they've tried to shut this down as quickly as they can. So our case today centres around 14-year-old Noah Donohoe. Donohoe. A 14-year-old mixed race boy who attended the well-respected all-boys Catholic grammar school, St Malachy's College. Now, Noah was exceptionally clever, especially at mathematics. He was a really bright boy, really clever. And even though he was 14, he was starting to find his own kind of way in the world. Like, he had his own interests. He loved reading books. He was always with books. And he had this awesome bond with his mother, Fiona. And we've been lucky in recent years where Fiona's actually shared a lot of clips from the family home, like video footage and stuff that she's taken. And Noah, you can tell in these clips, like, he is absolutely adorable. And he you know, he does things where he's like pretending to be on a cooking show and he's cooking for his mum. He's got an apron on and he's like cooking and he's doing like the voiceover from a TV show and his mum's giggling. And it's a really beautiful home. Like, his mum is such a Trojan of a woman, someone who absolutely adored her son. It was just the two of them. And she admits, like, she was a stricter mother. She was so worried that something was going to happen to Noah, that he wasn't always going to be safe. And she was facing this time in her life where Noah was 14 and he had started wanting to do his own things and see his friends, and she was finding it impossible to find excuses why he couldn't do everyday things that other kids could do. And she trusted him. She'd raised a really good boy. He was conscientious, he was intelligent, he was well loved at home, he had security in the fact he could talk to his mum about absolutely everything. Is it really important now, Steph? So yeah, so she had a lot of confidence in Noah because she had brought him up in a really secure home. And I think most of us parents believe, like, if we are that kind of parent to our children where we're always there, we give them a secure place, they can open up to us, they can talk to us, and they had that really beautiful bond. So I love Fiona as well. Now, he was smart, he was kind, he had a deep love for the cello, rugby and basketball. He took a lot of pride in his school, and he was part of the students there, and he was a well-loved student there, really high ranking, like had a lot of friends, played sports excellently. He had a lot going for him, Noah, and he would have gone on to do some amazing things in the world. He received numerous awards, including the UK Maths Challenge Success Award and the Spirit of the College Award. He was well liked in school and in his family. And he was an only child, like I said, raised by a single mum, Fiona. Now, we're going to talk about the timeline. So on Saturday, June the 21st, 2020, just as lockdown and everything was going on, Noah was wearing a black skateboard helmet, a khaki green North Face jacket, green sweatshorts with an emblem on one leg, a tie-dye blue hoodie, Nike sneakers with a khaki backpack containing his phone. A book and his laptop were in his bag, and he was travelling on his black Apollo bicycle. Now, what happened was Fiona was in the kitchen, she was cooking dinner. Well, she wasn't cooking dinner, she was preparing, like thinking what they were going to have for dinner. And Noah came into the kitchen and said, "Look, is it okay if I'll go and meet my friends for a little bit?" And she was like, "Wow, it's nearly dinner time." And he was like, "I really just want to go, Mum." Like, they'd been through lockdown quite recently, and so they'd been spending a lot of time in the home. And she thought, you know, what he wanted to do was go and meet his friends because they were working on some work for their Duke of Edinburgh award. So it's very hard as a mum when your kid is going out of the house to try and do something with his friends to make his life better, that you're going to say no. So, like I said, he left home on his bike, carrying a rucksack, his laptop, his laptop and his books. He planned to make the short journey across the city to meet friends to work on that school project, but things got very strange very quickly. Now, CCTV footage shows that around halfway into his journey to meet his friends, all of a sudden you see Noah on his bike, but his rucksack is no longer on his back. So we have Noah on his bike, rucksack gone. Now, we know that rucksack contained books and a laptop. Then Noah veers off route and goes a route that he doesn't need to go to meet his friends. He is then witnessed on his bicycle, naked, literally naked, going through a housing estate. He's then witnessed falling off his bike and seen cycling naked in the housing estate miles away from his intended destination. The route is the most CCTV road in Belfast. I did hear that, and they've only ever found certain footage, haven't they, from the cameras. Now, so when he falls off his bike, it's unclear if he really injures himself or not, because he gets back up and he gets back on his bike. No one seems to understand or be able to explain to this day why Noah's clothes are taken off at some point. Now, it's a really bizarre sight on the CCTV to see a 14-year-old boy fully dressed with a backpack. All of a sudden, he's just got his clothes on, no backpack, and all of a sudden he's naked on a bike. He drops his bike, walks down the side of a house, and vanishes. From leaving home to disappearing, the total time frame is just 18 minutes. So in 18 minutes, he's left home, he's set off on his bike, he's lost his backpack, he's fallen and hurt himself possibly on his bike, he's got back up, he's then become naked, and then he's gone through a housing estate, and we're talking about just 18-minute time frame. Now at this point, Noah is reported missing when he doesn't come home by his mother, and he is missing for 6 days. No one knows where he is. People are looking for him, posters start appearing, and nobody knows what happened to Noah Donohoe. After a 6-day police search in undergrowth in parks, residential areas, and deep into pitch black underground drains, his mother Fiona gets the call that every parent dreads. Noah's body has been found deep in a storm drain system, around 1 kilometre away from where his bike was found. Now I have to pause this here because I have to be able to explain to you guys what a storm drain is, what it looks like, and what we're talking about. Because when I first heard this case, I was kind of taking it in and listening, and I thought, I've got no idea what you mean. Like, I was thinking a drain, like taking off a drain lid and him go down. So the best clip I found of the storm drain was actually from a Michael McIntyre clip, who's been kind of working alongside Fiona to try and get some direction on Noah's case. So I'm just going to play the clip for you quickly.
This is the storm drain that the PSI state Noah likely entered late on the 21st of June 2020, to be found dead 950 metres further downstream 6 days later. There are no witnesses. He'd never been in this part of the city before, or ever, it appears, had any knowledge of any storm drain, let alone this one. The questions. Did he happen upon this storm drain by accident? Did he run between the houses naked and then take a sharp left past the back gardens of homes enjoying Father's Day barbecues? Was this storm drain locked when he found it? If open, could he lift it?
So I'm just going to pause for a second because I can't play clips all the way through. Storm drains are notoriously heavy. It normally takes 2 men to lift up a storm drain in order to do some work. So the fact that they expect us to believe that Noah Donohoe had lifted up the storm drain by himself was impossible for a boy of his size. Also, all of the storm drains are supposed to be locked to the public and only opened in the extent that they need to do work on the storm drains. Now, not only was he found in the storm drain, but he was found a great distance up the storm drain in this tiny little tunnel, kind of pushed up into the storm drain. And so they expect us to believe that Noah Donohoe, who by the way had never ever ever been to this area before, never, would never have crossed into this neighbourhood because he knew it was dangerous for him. Not had he never been there with his mum, with his auntie, with no one. All of a sudden he veers off his chosen path to go meet his friends. He is Catholic, ends up in a Protestant neighbourhood, naked on his bike, and then somehow goes behind a house and finds a storm drain that he had no idea was there because he'd never been there before. And then the PSNI expect us to believe that Noah purposely went and unalived himself in that storm drain because he wanted to die.
Or even have slipped between the bars. How likely was that for the 8.5 stone teenager? Perhaps did he find and open it in the dark? These are some of the questions we ask, and each answer will provoke even more questions. And then the biggest question of all, if he did enter this drain as the PSNI described, then how did he meet his end? We'll return with another bite-sized review of the Noah Donohoe case tomorrow.
And most of these videos Donna McIntyre has done, they are in a playlist on my channel called Noah Donohoe because his mum Fiona did ask me to share them on my page, so they are there. So we will get into more details of the case. People try not to give spoilers in the chat because it just makes it easier for everyone to hear at the same time. Let me just... Oh, what do I want to do? So, what we had at that period was Noah was found in the storm drain, and there was loads of questions kind of to be answered, but the PSNI kind of said, no, look, this has happened, and Noah obviously wasn't happy with his life. They looked to bring out certain things, which we'll talk about in a minute, and they kind of looked to just say this was something that Noah wanted to do. That's why he went to this neighbourhood, that's why he got into the storm drain, where he passed away. So they were just looking everywhere, they said, Gemma. They said they were looking everywhere, including right into these underground, these drains, and they were just looking, and they found him 900 metres, I think it was, up this storm drain. Do you use it often? Only once a month, around the 30th of a month, unless it's a leap year. So nearly 2 years later, with an inquest yet to be held, Noah's death remains shrouded in mystery, speculation and anger. A post-mortem found he had died from drowning, yet the tragedy has raised more questions than answers. According to the Donohoe family, like, they just say, like, they have so many questions and they just cannot get them answered. They continue to dispute the official versions from the police and the coroner about actually what happened to Noah on the evening of June 2020. The case has sparked accusations of police corruption and sectarian conflict. It's been taken up by a host of amateur online sleuths, and involved everyone from one of Belfast's most prolific career criminals to a controversial Canadian psychiatrist. Superintendent Muir Clark of the Police Service of Northern Ireland, the PSNI, said, "In my 30 years of police, this is one of the most unusual missing persons inquiries I have ever dealt with." Now, Noah lived with his mum Fiona, a healthcare assistant in South Belfast University District, a diverse community of students and immigrants with a high level of social housing. Noah's father, Emmanuel, was originally from Senegal and moved to America after Noah was born, and the pair only occasionally spoke via Skype. To his families and teachers, Noah was a very academic boy who wanted to study medicine. He excelled at science, had won awards for maths, and was a proficient cellist, and played basketball for his school team. His principal at the Catholic school he went to said that he was a perfect gentleman with the heart of a lion. And I absolutely, yeah, Nicola, I'm good friends with Fiona now. She's going to be coming live with us soon to talk about Noah. Now, I would say that Noah had a heart of a lion due to who his mum was and how she'd raised him. I get goosebumps talking about Fiona, because if I had to pick a hero in the true crime world, I'd pick Fiona every single time. The way that she talks about her son is, you just know what a mum she is. And absolutely, if she was any less of a mother, this would just be left, like, her grief has been put on pause so that she can fight every single day for what happened to her boy. His disappearance and death, his teachers, the police, his mother, his friends all say came completely out of the blue. Not one of them said that Noah had any problems that would lead him to leave his mum. His friends even said, look, Noah loved his mum and he would never ever worry his mummy, like, he just wouldn't. He absolutely worried about her all the time and kept in constant contact with her. If he was going to be 10 minutes late, he'd be like, Mummy, I'm on my way home, like, I'm sorry this is happening, because he just would not allow his mum to worry. Like, he knew he was everything to her. Even his best friend said there was nothing unusual about Noah's, like, his behaviour before he disappeared. His friend said, nah, he was normal. Like, we spoke on the phone, we text all the time, even during the pandemic, and Noah was always really, really, like, awesome to talk to. Like, he had a thirst for knowledge. He had ideas about things far greater than his years. He could talk about theories and authors and all of these different things that other kids his age wouldn't be bothered by. Thank you, Carla. Now we're going to talk about what we do know for sure, okay? At 5:45 p.m, Noah left his home and he was planning to meet friends at the Cave Hill Country Park, a couple of miles from his school, to work on a project for the Duke of Edinburgh Award with his friends. Now, if anyone doesn't know, the Duke of Edinburgh Award is a scheme that hundreds of thousands of young people take part in across the UK, and it was something Noah was really invested in. At 5:50 p.m, Noah was captured on CCTV cycling along the Royal Avenue through the busy shopping district of Belfast city centre. And this is where the bizarre part of these cases starts to happen. By the time he got to the bottom of Royal Avenue, his rucksack was already gone. Despite it being the city's busiest street with the most CCTV in the whole of Belfast, no witnesses or CCTV records what happened to him. None. Nobody saw what happened to Noah's bag. No one's come forward, and the police say they don't have CCTV covering that area, which we know isn't true. I think in the one area, thank you, Ursula, I think in the one area where his backpack went missing, there were 16 cameras covering that kind of area. And the police say, nope, don't have that part. At 6 p.m, Noah was seen falling off his bike by a driver at a busy junction. The driver got out to help, but Noah got back onto his bike and just cycled off. Now, around 400 metres after the point where Noah fell off his bike, he reappears on CCTV cycling down York Road. Within 2 minutes of this image being captured, this one here, just make it a little bit bigger. Within 2 minutes of this image being captured, by the time he reached a housing estate in Northwood Road in North Belfast, an area of the city he didn't know and around 3 miles away from his intended destination, inexplicitly, his clothes and helmet were gone. Now, how does that happen? Thank you for the ghost. How does that happen that a 14-year-old is on his bike and within 2 minutes he is stripped down, has no helmet on and reappears back on CCTV? The moment he loses them are again not caught on CCTV, nor by any witness. His bizarre nakedness is first witnessed by 2 residents who see him cycling wearing no clothes into a cul-de-sac in the housing estate. Thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Karen. Noah's last known movements captured by CCTV is him walking naked down the side of a house towards a gate that led to the park and a storm drain. These are recorded at exactly 6:03. Now, police initially tell Fiona and the public the last time they see Noah on CCTV is at 6:11 p.m. And then they say, no, that's not what we saw. We actually saw him 8 minutes earlier. And they're like, well, how did you get that confused? What did you see at 6:11 then? And they say nothing. So that to me was the first kind of red flag for Fiona when they're telling her about things, when they start to say the timeline is off. Like, actually, we saw him at a different time. Like, no, we got 8 minutes out. So they start to do these little things that make Fiona think there's something wrong. Now, whoever said about a head injury, one of the possibilities that people started looking at in the beginning was perhaps Noah, when he fell, had hit his head and caused him to have an instant head injury. What did Alana say? Breaking his and failed to cover up. We're going to get into it anyway. We'll go all the way through it, but I want to do a timeline of when the information come out. So Noah's last, so that was the last known thing. Noah's mother reported him missing to the police around 9:30 p.m. that night. She knew something was wrong because Noah was due to call her at 6:30 when he met his friends at the park, and he didn't. Around 24 hours after Noah was last sighted, Karen Crooks, who lives in the cul-de-sac where Noah was last seen walking naked, reported to the police that she had found Noah's bike and it was lying at the bottom of her driveway by itself. Police focused on the area behind her house, specifically near a storm drain. Specialist search and rescue teams were brought in to cover around Northwood Road and surrounding area where his helmet, his hoodie and his shoes were found scattered around the neighbourhood by residents. His underwear, his t-shirt and his shorts have never been recovered to this day. Now, explain that to me, where these have gone. Because even if you were going to say maybe someone stole some of his property, you're going to go for his shoes, his expensive trainers, the hoodie. You're not going to take someone's pants. You're not going to take someone's shorts and his underwear. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the rest of the clothes were all laying out there where you could find them. Thank you, Natty. So why his pants? During the search, his mobile phone was retrieved from a park that he passed on his way to Northwood Road. His bag had already been taken much earlier in the evening. 3 days into the search, Superintendent Muir Clark held a press conference and said he believed Noah was travelling to North Belfast, fallen from his bike and may have suffered a head injury, which may have led him to be disorientated and remove his clothes. This original police theory would later form the basis of Fiona and her supporters' claims of a police cover-up. We will talk about that, Lulu. I'll do it in time frame order if you don't mind, because it just makes more sense. This case gets so much worse. There's so much more mystery. There's so many more unanswered questions, and people will come into this where you'll just think, well, ask them. Like, it doesn't make sense. On the same day the press conference was held, police were contacted by the manager of a cash converter pawn shop in Belfast city centre. A career criminal and long-term heroin user called Daryl Poole had come in and attempted to sell Noah's laptop. Police received an anonymous tip-off that Paul had tried to sell the laptop at a party also the previous night before. He was arrested at his flat, where Noah's backpack and books were taken. After questioning Paul, who had almost 200 previous convictions for offences such as theft, armed robbery and other crimes, police went to his friend Maria Nolan's flat at Queen's Quarter Housing Association in University Street, a community homeless shelter that was right across the road from Noah's home that he shared with Fiona. And there they found Noah's laptop. When questioned, Paul claimed he had found Noah's rucksack against a wall at the University of Ulster building at the bottom of Royal Avenue, where Noah is thought to come separated from his bag. So this heroin addict and thief expects the police to believe that him and his friend Maria have got Noah's property because they're just walking down the road in their perfect everyday fashion, not committing any crimes, and they just somehow come across Noah's property and a bag with a laptop and books in, and the police are like, okay. And again, the police can't get any CCTV to prove if this is true or not, because this is lost, or they just can't get it, or they haven't done it in time. But either way, they don't have that. By day 4, the citywide search for Noah had expanded. Thousands of public volunteers and specialist police rescue teams covered terrain and underground areas in Northwood and Skigonill? I don't know. I'm sure you know if you live there. Of North Belfast. With no clear answers, loads of theories come into part and loads of people becoming increasingly interested in Noah's case due to the facts of this boy literally just seen just riding naked on a bike. People were just so wondering what the hell had happened. And you have to admit, when we hear about this case now, there are certain parts of this case that make you think, oh my God, what happened? It's such a mystery. And people were living this in real time. Everyone was concerned. Everyone was out searching, people in search groups. People were praying that Noah would be found. And it was becoming Skeg Neil. Thank you, guys. There was just no clear answers. Rumours started to spread about what may have happened to Noah, with rumours of potential sectarian and hate crime motives due to the fact he was mixed race. The rumours and suspicions, fuelled by allegations of police incompetence and bizarre circumstances, did not stop. They just continued to spiral. So, why may Noah have been targeted? So Noah was a Catholic, a mixed race boy cycling in a predominantly loyalist Protestant area in a white area of a city that is still recovering from 30 years of deadly sectarian war known as the Troubles. Only a few weeks before Noah went missing, 15-year-old Flynn Maguire, also a pupil at St Malachy's College, was attacked while cycling by a mob of teenagers in the same area. Flynn's mum claimed it was a religious motivated crime. The discovery of Noah's laptop in the homeless shelter opposite his family home fueled public doubt about the police's version of events. The police were still saying that Noah had simply fallen, sustained a head injury and gone missing, yet police maintained that Paul, later handed a 3-month prison sentence for stealing the rucksack while being an opportunist thief, could not have been connected to Noah's disappearance because they said he was caught on CCTV in another part of the Belfast at the time. However, they've never managed to prove this either. As the hunt for Noah continued, rumours circulated on social media that the schoolboy had been murdered and buried. James Shaw, a 26-year-old from North Belfast, posted a 9-second video on Snapchat. Staring into the camera, he said that he had been burying bodies, including Noah's. He was arrested and charged with improper use of electronic communication networks. 6 days after the disappearance, police announced they had found Noah's body. At a press conference, Superintendent Muir Clark said he didn't believe Noah had been murdered. It is disappointing that I again need to comment about people circulating a number of rumours about Noah's disappearance, which are completely without foundation. An investigation into the circumstances of Noah's disappearance is still continuing, but there is no evidence to suggest foul play. Now, this is one of the things that frustrate people the most, is because you've just found the boy's body 6 days after he disappeared in a storm drain, and you instantly come to the conclusion on camera within like half an hour of Noah being found, look, this isn't a crime. There is no evidence of foul play. You found a boy who on CCTV was last seen naked in an area he'd never been to, in an area where you know there is religious and racist kind of components, and he's climbed into a storm drain that he is not strong enough to lift up by himself. You haven't even answered the questions at that time, or asked the questions even, about how a storm drain that's supposed to be locked has been left unlocked in order for this to happen to him, and instantly you're trying to control the narrative in the media that actually we found Noah, it's a tragic accident, we're going to look into the circumstances, but it's not foul play. To me, that I point to, there's lots of things here where if a naked child is found several miles away from home or where they were even going, in a storm drain 6 days after they disappear, then there would be some reason in my mind to believe there may be an element of foul play. But they were so quick to try and distance themselves from this. How did Noah end up in a storm drain in Seaview Park behind Northwood Road that he had no idea even existed? How could a body end up travelling 1,000 metres through a narrow storm drain system which ran under the M2 motorway and with very little signs of water damage? Was it a mere coincidence that Noah's bag was found at an apartment just minutes away from his home? And who were the two mystery men seen hanging around the housing estate at the very time that Noah disappeared? And you have to... So Noah's body apparently had been in water for 6 days but had no signs that he had been in water for that period of time. So you could not tell, and most of the time no marks on knees or elbows for the fact that he had climbed through. The tunnels are tiny, right? I just showed you a picture of them. I'll show you another one in a minute. The tunnels are tiny. He had no marks on his knees or elbows where he had to have crawled up there. It's the only way to get up there. You couldn't have gone on all fours. There was not room. So you would have to... They're concrete. He didn't have any marks on his elbows or knees that he had climbed to that place. 1,000 metres in a small concrete. No rodent activity, no nothing on his body. His body didn't have any of the telltale signs, and only his hands and feet had water damage to them. The rest of his body didn't. So it is absolutely... Explain this to me then. Explain to me how he got to this point without any marks on his body at all. Like, explain to me how he opened the storm drain. And this is what Fiona is saying. Like, tell me something. Tell me what happened. Even some residents of Northwood Road said they were not aware the storm drain even existed behind their homes. So if the residents didn't know the drain was there, how did Noah? It was unfortunate on the day that Noah went missing, the padlock on the storm drain was not secured because a maintenance worker had forgotten to lock it after an inspection the week before. So what are the chances that Noah came across a storm drain that was... What's that? This is the storm drain here. What are the chances that he came across a storm drain that was unopened with a heavy grate on it in an area he'd never been before, and he just happened to find one that was open that day? It doesn't even, you know, it was locked when the search was going on. Or was it? I didn't know that. I thought it'd been unlocked that whole time. That makes it even more suspicious. So then there was a strange Jordan Peterson connection. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Jordan Peterson is. He is known well online. He's always on the Joe Rogan show. He is a psychologist. He has some very weird ideas around like the female kind of role. He's kind of been likened sometimes his ideas a bit to the Tates. I like him. I think he's very clever, and he speaks a lot of sense. Now, after analysing Noah's online activity, police discovered that on the day he went missing, he messaged an Instagram account that he believed was Jordan Peterson. And Jordan Peterson is a controversial Canadian psychologist. Noah was clearly interested in the culture warrior and self-help guru. His international best-selling book, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote for Chaos, was in Noah's rucksack the day that he went missing. And I explained this before. So Noah had a really high IQ, and so he was kind of reading these books. He was very interested in philosophy and the psychology of things. Very clever little boy. Now, in the 12 Rules for Life, Peterson, a controversial figure who rallies against identity politics and political correctness, outlines his mantra for young men to be strong, disciplined, and take responsibility for their own lives. Peterson was contacted by the PSNI in connection with the Instagram account and an exchange of emails involving Noah. But Peterson told the police the Instagram account was fake, with no involvement from him and his team. And the messages Noah sent to the account have never been released by the PSNI. But that didn't stop people from speculating online in forums about why Noah was interested in Peterson, what impact his books may have had on him, and even how the biblical figure Noah from the Old Testament featured in Peterson's YouTube lectures. So to me, it was a little bit of a conspiracy that come off the back of Noah's case. People were trying to connect what happened to Noah to kind of his belief in Peterson, and people were trying to say, oh, you know, he may have felt depressed. I know that sometimes that Peterson has spoken on men's mental health, on being depressed, kind of society kind of grinding men down, and people said that this may have been connection between Noah wanting to die and climbing himself into the storm drain. To me, it's a load of nonsense. Like, if you literally found the closest possible book next to me and gone, oh, she's died today, and she was reading this at the time, I just don't think it's fair to do. Like, Noah was just reading the book. That's what I can see. And they haven't released the emails from the Instagram, but it could be as much as Noah saying, hey, I'm a massive fan, I'm reading your book. And at that age, we just think, you know, people reply, stuff like that, but I just don't think it's connected at all. Online sleuths suggested that Noah, by entering the storm drain, may have been involved in some kind of group initiation ceremony that went wrong, or suffered from psychosis due to drugs. Others created their own graphics and timelines to analyse Noah's journey on the day he went missing, and more broadly raise awareness of Noah's case. 14. In August of 2020, a coroner, Joe McCriskin, told a preliminary inquest there was no evidence to suggest that any other person was involved in Noah's death, and that it was time for the baseless and inaccurate rumours about what happened to Noah to stop. In his own words, he said, I understand concern for the communities in the light of Noah's disappearance and death and the desire for further information. I am asking for the speculation to cease today. Now, McCriskin in the coroner report said that it appeared that Noah entered the storm drain in the Northwood Road by lifting the unsecured metal drain cover. He said in his own words, at present, there is no evidence linking Noah's death to the death of any other individual with an attack on any other individual or individuals in the area or in close proximity. Meanwhile, on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook and online news comment, people explain what they believe really happened. Some simply did not believe the coroner or police version of events. They were convinced Noah had been attacked for the colour of his skin, because he was a child, or because he was in the Catholic, he was from the Catholic part of town and was in the Protestant part of town. Perhaps they said Noah's attacker was a police informant, and if it came to light there would be riots. The people in Belfast wanted answers, and privately, while grieving, so did Fiona Donohoe. Ever since Noah went missing, Fiona with her sister had become increasingly critical of the police's investigation into his death and in raising awareness about their version of events. The sisters created a Facebook community, a real movement, the My Noah Donohoe campaign, where supporters call themselves Noah's Army, and I'm sure we've got some people in the room tonight who are Noah's Army. Through car procession, flags, banners, painting, murals across the city, they have been keeping Noah's death in the public eye. I just get teary whenever I think about Fiona, because she literally, she's had to try far too hard to get people to answer questions about her son, and every time we get to a point, like, more information is brought out, and it's stuff that she should have known about from day one, and she's constantly surprised with bits of information that are coming out. This is her baby, man. And if the PSNI had just brought everything out in the beginning, like all of the stuff we're about to talk about now, and had just told her what she'd always been asking to know, she deserves so much more than this. Noah obviously deserves so much more than this, but she should be able to grieve for a son that she's lost and have justice, and she's still fighting every single day. So in a statement with a magazine before, Fiona has said, if they, the PSNI, tell me how Noah knew that storm drain existed, that will at least make some sense to me. But they can't answer any of my questions. Nobody had seen him climb into the storm drain, and I will never believe that he climbed into it himself. We need a new investigation. It's so obvious to us how badly the investigation was done. We're not accepting their narrative at all. There is not one word I accept. I'm absolutely disgusted. It's insulting to Noah, to my Noah. It's disrespectful. They say he was in the storm drain for 6 days, she said, bearing in mind, to travel from where his body entered the storm drain to where he was found, he would have to have climbed 950 metres through a tunnel complex, which we have heard on a good authority this is humanly impossible to do because of the obstructions and the chambers. So how did he end up there? Neither the police or the coroner have ever talked about openly about how Noah's body travelled through a complex maze of tunnels that had literally places in there a human body could not have got through. One of the police said, well, it would be extremely challenging. Thank you, Meg. But Fiona's had experts say it can't happen. Fiona said, according to their information, Noah's body did not show signs of spending 6 days in the underground water system. She said the tide comes in twice a day to those tunnels, so he would have been submerged in water twice a day. But the only water damage to Noah's body was his hands and his feet. And there's sewage in that tunnel, so sewage and bacteria would have done horrendous damage to his body. Also, there was no rodent damage, no insect damage. There was no signs he had been in that water. Fiona also believes that Noah could have been attacked because he was from a Catholic area or because of the colour of his skin. She said the area around where he was last seen had a history of racist behaviour. We need a new investigation. It's so obvious to us that a bad investigation was done. We're not accepting their narrative at all. There is not one word I will accept. Now, Fiona said, and she has spoke about it before, that at one point she had to take the post down about Simon. About Simon who? She said she has to contemplate at one time, did Noah unalive himself? She had to because she's his mum and she had to consider every single possibility, and that's what the police were telling her. She said, I don't want anyone to believe that I have not considered every possibility, that I've ever said, no, not my boy. I've looked at it, I've thought about it, I've literally thought about every part of it. And she said there is no reason to consider this was an option. We're realists, she said, we're not deluded. It's not that something happened and that we don't want to accept it. We say if Noah had taken his own life, we would accept it, we would grieve, and we really would. But that's not what happened. I would never allow myself to be dragged through this publicly if I thought that was what happened. Fundamentally, we want justice for Noah. Whoever harmed him and whoever is involved need to be brought to justice. And I think it's just a matter of time. Now, there were lots of police inconsistencies and incompetence throughout this investigation that were clear to see. There was a statement from PSNI saying that they had conducted a missing person leaflet drop where Noah was missing. However, this didn't happen. 2 police officers told each other they were going to do it. No one did it, so they didn't do it at all. But they had led Fiona to believe, look, we're dropping leaflets everywhere with Noah's face on. It just never happened. Simon who? You said it was a bizarre case. Colette, actually, 2 of Simon's friends actually asked me today to put that post up, which I did. We're actually talking about a murdered little boy here, so please, you can message me. I'm going to put Noah's picture back up so people do know what we're talking about when we come in. So also, according to those who helped in the search, the area Noah was last seen wasn't cordoned off or sealed off at any time. No overtime was offered to police during the first day of search, and they were allowed to go home at normal time and just resume the next day. And if you think about from Fiona's point of view, like, we would expect that when a 14-year-old young boy is missing, that there would be people searching for him at all times of day of the hour, that the PSNI would put out overtime, that people would be working around the clock until they find Noah. In Noah's case, that's not what happened. The PSNI did work during the day and then would go home during the evening, leaving Fiona absolutely desperate to know what happened to her son. It was never considered a priority to anyone. Now the thing is, thank you, Kim. The thing is, if you expect us to believe that Noah was in that storm drain, he was in that storm drain the whole time, and you had from day 2 of the investigation CCTV, which proved to you that Noah was last seen in that road, then how is his body later found in that road and you didn't find him? You know, what all of a sudden made you one day go, let's look through all the storm drains, like in a normal missing persons thing? You had his clothes scattered around an area, so that would lead you to believe there isn't more people coming forward seeing a naked boy walking around the neighbourhood, so he's got to be somewhere here. So why was not more proper like searching done? And for Fiona as a mother, that would be absolutely horrific to know that Noah's out there in the dark for an extra 5 days by himself because nobody was taking the searching seriously. Now, Fiona demanded the police look into rumours that Noah was attacked by a heroin needle while he was riding his bike. Now, there had rumours come out that said that at the time, and these are just rumours, I just want to say allegedly, there was rumours that come out that when Noah had his rucksack taken from him by the heroin user, they had injected him with a needle full of heroin, which may also explain why within a couple of minutes later Noah was stripping off his clothes on a bike. And Fiona has just desperately asked for people to look into these tips. Like, this mother shouldn't have to be wondering if this could have been a possibility. There should be testing done. There should be CCTV evidence to prove exactly what happened to Noah. She's just asking to know what happened. Thank you, Zed. They said, we have reason to believe there is a particular and specific knowledge of this assault in the homeless community and with those struggling with addiction issues, both in the city centre and also from people who are residents of the Queen's Quarter Housing Association in University Street. Specifically, people residing there in June. And that came from Fiona Donohoe's solicitor. Now, they believe that Daryl Paul and his friend Marie Nolan have information, as they're both heroin addicts. They ended up with his staff, and there would be some reason to interrogate them over these possibilities. It came out, I think it was in 2021, in a tabloid newspaper, that a prisoner had confessed to his cellmate to drowning Noah and receiving help from loyalist paramilitaries to dispose of the body. Donohoe urged the police to look into this and this cell confession, but after investigating the needle attack and the jail confession, PS&I would only tell Fiona, look, I have no reason to make any arrests, and didn't tell her what they actually did to look into this at all. The mystery was further inflamed when in December that year it was revealed the police were seeking public interest immunity certificate in order to prevent specific internal police information about the case being released during the full inquest into Noah's death. So straight away, the PS&I put in these paperwork to try and stop Fiona or anyone in the public knowing exactly what they did during their investigation. And they didn't even want to give his mum information. We're not talking about a 30-year-old man who died, we're talking about a 14-year-old young boy. And they become very, very paranoid about people getting certain information in the case. Now, Fiona alleges the PII is being used to potentially protect police informants, police lawyers, and said it is common for police to apply for these in order to protect police methodology. An online petition calling the police to release the secret files gathered over 300,000 signatures. Now, I want to talk about some more information that came out. So what order do you want to do it in? I know what I want to do. So if you listen to what we said about the jailhouse confession, the cell confession, where a man said that he had helped to drown Noah Donohoe and later take him and hide his body. Now, in 2023, which I believe was when it was first found, graffiti appeared, and I'm going to put the graffiti up on the thing so you can see what it says. Noah, Mount Vernon, 16th floor, murdered in the bathtub. So this appeared. So let me just have a look where it says it appeared. Police are aware of a picture circulating on social media of graffiti referring to the death of Noah Donohoe, and inquiries are ongoing to identify the location. Does it say 10th floor? I thought it said 16th. So this appeared on the wall. Does anyone know where this appeared? Because it doesn't say on this report I've got here. I can look for it, obviously, if I need to. So this appeared saying that Noah had actually been drowned beforehand in the Mount Vernon on 10th floor in a bathtub, and then placed into the tubs, taped into the pipes. Now, where's that picture I had? When I searched on Google about what Mount Vernon was, this is Mount Vernon Court here, which I take it is, this is the only one I could find in Belfast. Was this the right one? Is this where it's believed to be? I guess only you guys in Belfast would know. This is all I could find when I searched it up. No, it's not the right one. No, okay, because I didn't think there was 10 floors in that picture. So anyway, it's not, it's a tower block, so it's a tower block. So there was rumours that obviously Noah was taken up to this tower block, murdered in the bathtub, and later put into those things. So where is Mount Vernon in comparison to where Noah went missing? Like, to where the Storm Dome is? Do you guys know that? It's just so much better to get local knowledge than me just even looking up and going, is this far away? It's a housing estate. About 2 minutes away. 500 metres. So that's it. So that would make a lot of sense, right? If somebody who has racial undertones or absolutely is angry because Noah's in their area because he's Catholic, and they have somehow taken him back to an apartment on a tower block and drowned him in a bathtub, and then has taken him later on under the cover of darkness when we know police weren't searching because they weren't doing overtime, and placed him there. North Belfast, 5 minutes from Storm Drain. Thank you guys for the help. So this is one of the rumours that we had come out. Now, something else that came out, which was absolutely a shock when it came out, because this has come out since the first time that I covered this case. So at some point, when was this? So around June time of 2023, 3 years after the death of Noah, Fiona, having some of the paperwork released to her, finds out that police have CCTV of Noah Donohoe sneaking out of the family home at 3:30 a.m. on the day of his disappearance in the early hours of the morning. Now this is critical information that they did not give to Fiona up until this point. She waited over 2.5 years to get this information about her child. The shocking secret footage captured 14 hours before his disappearance was only revealed to lawyers working for Mum Fiona more than 2 years after her son's tragic disappearance. 14-year-old Noah Donohoe snuck out of his Belfast home at 3:30 a.m. on the day he would disappear, and returned 35 minutes later after an unexplained and secret trip revealed for the first time today. The teenager left his home in Fitzroy Avenue in South Belfast in pouring rain and wearing only a t-shirt, shorts and flip-flops, and in his hands he carried headphones. When he returned at 4:05 a.m, just as dawn was breaking, he was captured on CCTV soaking wet. His headphones were gone, and so were his flip-flops. He was barefoot and missing his headphones. Who took them? And where was Noah going at 3:30 in the morning for 45 minutes? The shocking secret footage, captured just 14 hours before his disappearance, was only revealed to lawyers working for Mum Fiona more than 2 years after her son's tragic disappearance. In the weeks when Noah was missing, PSNI officers asked me if Noah could have snuck out at any time from the apartment without my knowledge. I told them there's only one key, and all the doors are very squeaky, and I would not have thought it likely. But obviously I was wrong, and they were asking me for a reason. The revelation shared today by journalist Donald McIntyre, who is heading up the independent investigation into the case with a team of crime experts, said he is disgusted that Fiona wasn't given this information. The secret late-night journey is sure to deepen the mystery around what happened to tragic Noah, whose lifeless body was discovered in a disused drain 6 days after he went missing. Now, to me, we have to look into what happened and where Noah's house was situated. So to give you a bit of background, like I said, there was a homeless like house across the road from Noah and Fiona. There was people outside the house at all times of the day, drinking, taking drugs. There were a lot of people injecting at the site, and Fiona was devastated that her son was going to start seeing all of this stuff, this kind of lifestyle, the addiction. And no matter how we feel about addiction, that addicts are real people and all of this, we also know that we don't want our children to see those things. Now, Fiona had actually phoned the police and phoned the council quite a few times to report that these people were outside her house, hey Dame, and had said, look, there's people out there that are doing this, this and this, and I don't want my son to see them. It's not safe. Like, we live here, we don't feel safe. So Noah and his mum were more than aware of what was going on. Now, could it be that at some point there was some kind of county lines kind of thing going on? And by that I mean the grooming of adults to ask Noah one day, like, can you do me a favour and just take this to him? And before you know it, Noah's trapped in this world of having to do favours for people who are drug addicts. Did something happen? And we have to kind of, this is just a theory, this is just allegedly, and I don't want to like say anything that will harm the investigation. But to me, Lily, we've got to discuss the fact that Noah actually went out at one point and come back without his shoes and his headphones, like someone has taken them from him. None of his friends met Noah that night. No one else that he knew them. So was there something? And I don't mean like county lines on the kind of like rail network. I'm talking about older people grooming younger people to do a favour. It happens everywhere. Like, I think a lot of people think it doesn't happen. Like, it happens in my very small seaside town in Devon. It happens everywhere. It almost makes me think, like, did someone say to Noah, like, you owe me money? Like, was that why the laptop was taken off him that day? Maybe he was injected with something. Maybe like something really terrible happened to him off the back of this meeting here. But I know Noah's mum was absolutely heartbroken when this was released, that she didn't know. And the really sick thing that happened online in the context of this information being released was people started saying horrific things about Fiona online. They're saying, how did you not know he snuck out? Had you been drinking? What were you doing in your house? Why did Noah get out of your house without you knowing? I sleep like a log, and you just have to believe that your children aren't sneaking out at night time sometimes. She did nothing wrong. Like, she should have been given this information right in the beginning. This is her son. And if the police really believed that this was a non-suspicious outing that day, then why are they hiding it from Fiona? Why not just say to her, like, oh, we caught him sneaking out? And then Fiona could have gone to his friends and said, did someone meet him that night? And they could have gone, yeah. But no one he knew met him. And the fact of the matter is that he's gone out, he's come back soaking wet, missing his shoes and his headphones, and they've never been found. So where are they? So we also know last week, so we know that in the last couple of weeks, Noah's mum has been in a court kind of semi-inquest. It's an inquest review, and it's just been revealed that a photo of a hand was taken on Noah Donohoe's phone hours after he went missing. It's thought to be the palm of a hand, and they've taken a picture as they kind of grabbed the phone like that, and is believed not to be the 14-year-old's hand. It's absolutely another part of the case that has been kept from Fiona. So Brenda Campbell KC, who is representing Noah's mum Fiona, told an inquest review hearing at the Royal Courts of Justice in Belfast that during the examination of a material found on Noah's phone, an expert had found an image of what appears to be a palm or a portion of a hand. She described it as a type of photograph that might inadvertently been taken by a telephone that had been picked up or held in someone's hand. The significance of it is that it was taken at 10 to 7 on the evening of Noah's disappearance. Ms. Campbell said they had asked the experts to double check this, as if it was taken at 6:50, it raises the prospect that Noah's phone was in somebody else's hand at this time. Hayley Paul had fingers missing on his hand. Did he really? Based on what I know, the coroner stepped down. What, from this inquest? Or the one previous? Because Fiona's been waiting for this for so long. Miss Campbell said they've asked the expert to double check this based on what we know of Noah's this one, for fuck's sake. Which means more fucking waiting. I'll send her a message after this live. Like, she was literally, had been last time I spoke to her in June about coming live with me, she was like, just wait till October, I just need to get this out of the way. It's just heart fucking breaking again. Based on what we know about Noah's movements and his disappearance for about 40 minutes previously in the area of Northwood Crescent, a strong inference would be that it wasn't Noah's hand. The barrister said she wants to raise a number of questions for the PSNI around the photographs. Did they know about it, and how long have they known about it, and what was done about it? And who was in possession of Noah's phone at that time and on that date? If the answer is no, they didn't know about it, then why not? And what else don't they know about? It's such importance that we bring it directly to the attention of the court, and we ask for urgent response in relation to this. Taylor, can you take your medicine? Thank you. This is kind of what keeps happening. Like, every time Fiona like steps up and asks for justice, then something happens, someone steps down, they won't let her have an inquest, they won't let her have a review, they won't give her access to all of the information. Like, if you're covering nothing, why are we hiding stuff? Why are we still hiding stuff? Like, I don't understand. Like, if people who with nothing to hide nothing, right? And all they've ever done is try to hide what's going on. And this is kind of where we're left today. And I mean, this case is so much bigger than this. There's so much turns in it. I found this post which I thought was really interesting on when I was researching before. It might make more sense to people in here than it does to me. Where's it gone? Don't want to go off topic. Very strong rumours in the north, not all as it seems. Lots of youngsters being chased and beaten in northern Belfast. UVF got wind that the kid had been chased and beaten up in the area and put word out the kid better turn up and anyone involved to step forward. Fella named Willie Miller, whose uncle is UVF man, Whitecaps his nickname, from Mount Vernon, approached his uncle to say he was involved in an incident with the kid. It was Miller's mother who produced Noah's bag and laptop to police. Next day, Miller unalives himself. Something sinks bad. I honestly think there had been a cover-up to avoid all-out war. Believe it or not, both sides of the divide were rooting for that kid to be found safe. Does anyone recognise the names in that, like the Miller? Like, because I know local knowledge, sometimes you can't beat local knowledge. Like, sometimes I can research all I want to research, but I won't find stuff online that you guys may know about. So I don't know if this is... So that does make sense to you guys. It is about Noah Town. We've just done a live on Noah. So that's really all I can tell you right now. And I wanted to do this so that everyone knew about Noah's case, because this case, like someone said to me yesterday, if you could solve any case in the world, I would solve this one for Fiona. Because ever since even before I kind of come into contact with her on TikTok, I watched her on the James English podcast and other podcasts where I just thought, wow, like this woman is in so much pain and she is desperate, and it's a really hard watch sometimes because she's so full of emotion all the time, and she's just trying to, this will be on YouTube tomorrow. So I'm going to, I just want people to understand that, you know, behind what's happened to Noah is not just his mum and his auntie, but there is a whole community in Belfast who absolutely want to know what happened to Noah and how this could possibly have happened. It'll be on the Observer UK's YouTube channel, who's one of my moderators who records my lives. Let me just find this quickly. So I'm going to play a song which is called Remember My Noah, which was written in memory of Noah, while I put some pictures on the screen of his case and some of the tributes in Belfast to Noah. Where's my, oh, that's not what I wanted. Where's my echo? Oh, I'm playing upstairs in Tegan's room now. Give me a second, guys. Actually playing early instead of mine. This is what I wanted. I started playing in Tegan's room, she sat upstairs. Why are you going to that song? We will get there eventually, guys.
My young son died and his mother cried. No answers we have not. nothing. An innocent child on a bicycle died. Let this be not forgotten. Remember my Noah. He left his home for to spend some time with all his friends. To Cahill Country Park he was bound, but somewhere along the way he mysteriously disappeared. And it's now that many questions must be answered. A young son died and his mother cried. No answers, we have nothing. An innocent child on a bicycle died. Let this be not forgotten. Remember my Noah. It was 6 days till he was found. They say that he had drowned in a storm drain in a spot in North Belfast. But these questions still remain. How he got into that drain. For his family's sake, we need to know the truth. A young son died and his mother cried. No answers, we have nothing. An innocent child on a bicycle died. Let this be not forgotten. Remember my Noah. I'm Noah Donohoe. We will remember you. For your family and your friends, we'll seek the truth. A bright and loving child, we will not forget your smile. With the angels now in heaven, rest in peace. A young son died and his mother cried. No answers, we have nothing. An innocent child on a bicycle died. Let this be not forgotten. Remember my Noah. Remember my Noah. Remember my Noah.
Alexa, stop.
Well, I know my Noah is like now everybody's Noah, and I'll gratefully share everything about my Noah so that people can get to know him, because he was such an amazing boy. And these social media accounts, I don't know much about social media, but it's a way for people to learn more about Noah, because they've taken him into their hearts. And no, yeah, he wasn't perfect. He had socks lying on the ground. It took him, like, it could have taken him 10 hours to tie his shoelace if I didn't keep prodding him. But in his humour, he's just such a funny boy, and it's just making him even more real to people, because he's so alive in my heart. He's so around me constantly, and I just need people to see what time they invested in searching for him and wanting answers.
Let's pause it for a second, because if I don't pause it, then I'll get banned. Ooh. It is really hard to watch, and like if you watch if you want to know more about Fiona, go and watch the James English podcast with her, because she tells the whole story, and absolutely watching her, like, you'll fall in love with her, but at the same time you'll literally be protective of her. You'll understand what it's like for a mother to lose her son in such a horrific way, and just not to have any answers. You know, she's pleading and she's saying like, I'll share everything about my son with you. I will absolutely tell you every memory I have of him. I will show you every picture I have of him. Like, I will share him with you. But we need to get the answers, because we need to find out what happened to Noah. Like, he's everyone's son at this point. Like, she is so appreciative of Belfast, the community that she's had, the support she's had. She's put herself in constant danger all the time, because she's actually talking out about things that people don't want her to talk about, and she's calling out people that normally people don't talk, you know, don't question. But at the end of it all is a mother's love for her son, and I think that is so, like someone said, one mother cries, we all cry. And he you know, he could be anyone's child. Like, he literally went on a bike, he made very specific plans with his mum that he was going to phone her when he arrived at the park at 6:30. He was going to tell her he was with his friends, he was going to stay for a very short period of time, and he was going to be back for his dinner. Like, she did everything a mother could do in order to make sure that he was going to come back home, and he didn't come back home. We don't know what's been checked, what's been haven't, because we can't believe anything the PSNI say, and they've withheld so much information, they've redacted so much. They keep getting people like this coroner right now who is now quit, which means again it's going to be put back, the information that's put out. We don't know what they've put down correctly or what they haven't. They've lost so much CCTV. He was 14 years of age. Sorry guys, I've had quite a lot of contact with Fiona, so I actually do understand like her pain. Not her, but I don't understand her pain. I'm not her, but I understand how much she's broken by it. So no, yeah, I'm gonna have as soon as this inquest was supposed to be over, Fiona was gonna come on my page and talk to us about Noah. I don't know if that will still happen now, because she may have to wait for a new one for which is it's not an inquest, it's an inquest review, to acknowledge the fact that the inquest wasn't done properly. How can we help her? You can definitely follow her on TikTok, so you can follow her journey. I'll just find you her actual so she's called her account is Fiona and Noah. She only has 15.8k followers at the moment, so if everyone could go and give her a follow, that'd be absolutely amazing. And she shares just the sweetest, like, look at this picture of him. She
I knew your name. I loved you before I saw your face. I longed for you for all of the
curly hair.
And I held your heart in mine. I kissed you 100 million times. The tears that I cried, I held you.
She does literally every song was just too much for me. Stunning little boy, and he is his mother's son, man. Absolutely his mother's son. Anyone who wants to watch the live we've just done, will be over on YouTube tomorrow, by the Observer UK. I can't go back into it again, guys, when I'm literally not recovered from this time. Please go and after this live, go and follow Fiona, repost her videos, love them, put the love heart thing on, and then let her like kind of look tomorrow and be like, oh, what happened to him? Chantal, you've just missed the whole live, so you're going to have to rewatch it. He's Noah Donohoe. He was found drowned in a storm drain island in Belfast. yeah, sometimes it's those little things, like when she had really bad news and the coroner's quit and everything else, like it just might be like looking at her videos and be like 500 more people have liked every single video, like that would mean a lot to her. I know who Fiona is, and she is somebody who is so lovely and so nice and so kind, and literally any bit of support that she gets, any people who reach out to her who just like her post, like it means the world to her. Like she said in that clip, like I never understood social media, I didn't have to. And now I'm literally searching for answers in all these different places, and I'm just looking for anyone to help. It's her page is called Fiona and Noah. That's why I always say she's the one person. If I could solve any case in the whole world right now, it'd be Noah's, because I think her piece would give the whole of Belfast peace. I think there's a lot of he's the only one that stepped down. Thank you. I need to look into that more, Karen, when I come off. I think her piece would mean so much to Belfast, and just having those answers, Noah's Army, exactly, it would mean everything to everyone to have that piece. As a mother who's lost her son, this breaks my heart. She deserves answers. Thank you for that, Julie. There's also a Facebook page we talked about as well called My Noah Donohoe. If everyone can join that. I'm not on Facebook at the moment, but I am a member of it, and I have been for a while when I put my account back on. It's just I always think, like, Kelly Lynch, I'm in touch with her mum as well. I've got some news coming about Kelly Lynch's case on Saturday daytime. I can't put it out right now due to the fact that I don't want to tip off certain people in the case. She's on 16k now. Thank you guys for doing that. Justice for Kelly, man. I spoke to her mum last week. She asked my advice on something because her family were being horrifically trolled on Facebook. Yeah?
I'm going now.
Alright, see you later. Bye. Right, be safe, Tegan. No problem, Mary. Her mum was being horrifically trolled on Facebook, and there was a man on there from America who was leaving the most horrific things on Kelly's videos, saying that her mum had killed her. But thankfully we managed to get this man banned off Facebook because she was really worried. It's so many cases, man. Justice for Kelly Lynch as well.
I love you, Mum.
Love you. See you later. Be safe. Yeah, it's absolutely heartbreaking that so many of these cases, and not just in Ireland or Northern Ireland, not just in Belfast, but everywhere. Let me go lock the front door now she's gone, because I'll forget when I go to bed. Oh, my chair's stuck under my desk. Yeah. So thank you everyone for being so kind to hear Noah's story. It is really, really important, and I was hoping this inquest review would bring about new evidence, and instead we find out about things like the handprint on the phone, and it just seems like we don't know like how long they've known about this. Did they look into this? Have they tried to compare palm, like anything? It's so annoying. It's so annoying. It's what does your t-shirt say? It says dead inside and less caffeinated. Yeah, sorry. It does. It's from Shein, I think. Thank you, which is, you know, thank you, Mary. It's one of those things, like, obviously, to lose a child like this is so horrific. Like, to not have the answers, though, to have to fight just for those answers, just to know, like, what's going on. Like, what's going on? Like, what happened to my son? Like, people shouldn't have to beg for this information. It should be readily available. And yeah, you would hope, yeah, that the police, the PSNI and all of those things are there to work with the family to get Noah justice, and instead it seems like they've covered up for everyone else in this situation. And where in the world are we going to have even a kind of confession spray painted on a wall in massive letters that tells you the exact floor this has happened on, and we don't even know if you've searched properly. You definitely haven't done a forensic search of that area, so how are you going to say this hasn't happened? And for Fiona, who has these questions, to know they haven't been answered, and then they haven't been answered at all, it's just heartbreaking. Like, it's 4 years later and she's still asking to know what happened to my son 4.5 years later. You know, if Noah was here now, thank you, Susie. If Noah was here now, he'd be an 18-year-old man. Thank you, Kaza. So this case is so important to me. I get nervous before I do Noah's case because, just a little story time. The first time I covered Noah's case, it was only new to TikTok, new to telling cases, and we told the case, and then somebody in the comments said, "I'm his mum," and I was like, oh my god, I was so nervous. Like, I knew who Fiona was, and she stayed with us for a bit and sat and talked to us, and we were all just like blown away, like Noah's mum had been in here the whole time I did the case. She messaged me afterwards and said, like, every mum needs the Hayley comment, and I was just like literally like blown away. I was so like, oh my god, like she wasn't mad at me, she wasn't upset. Like, you panic because you think, I've talked about his body in a storm drain and the reasons why it's not looking like he just had an accident, and you've been in here listening to me say those things, so you just panic like, oh, I'm really sorry, like, did you hear me say those things? And she was like, no, honestly, like, I was so happy with how you did it. She is so strong, and I've said to her before about sticking up for me on the app. Like, people have given me loads of hate, and she's jumped up in a box and said, like, no, like, she's helped me so much, and I'm like, don't do that for you, and don't put yourself in the way of these people on TikTok who are horrible. Like, don't do that for me, because she's got enough. She's got a struggle going on. But she is lovely. I always meet people on here as well who did the searches, and thank you all for helping her. Like, honestly, like, I didn't know about Noah's case even at the time we went missing. I only knew about it probably from about halfway through 2021, which is when I learned about it. It wasn't massive in the UK, like it was in Belfast. Like, when I heard the facts of his case, like him on the bike and his backpack going missing, him being seen naked on the bike, I was just like literally like, oh my god, like, oh my god. Because it was like such a shocking case. Everyone should have known about it. Everybody. Thank you guys for being so kind. Let me just get this blanket because I'm getting cold now. I've got my new blanket from Morrison's. It's very soft. Yeah, Julie, I'm so sorry you lost a son. I'm sorry for anyone in here who's lost a child. I just can't imagine it. I love you, Mary. You've been here since day one, my Mary, the queen of my heart. Thank you, Julie. It is important, and that's why I always try to cover cases from the point of the victim, because you never know who's in here. Like, that taught me a lesson that day when Fiona was in here, because I never knew. And obviously then you have to think, like, especially with children, when you're covering children, like, there could always be a time when a parent, thank you, Shauna, for saying that, when a parent, a sibling, someone who knew them, a neighbour, a best friend is in the room, and you don't really want to be caught saying things. Noah's story has now reached Australia. I love that. Inquest is now February 2025. It's just more waiting, isn't it? It's just more waiting. I'll send her a message later on and I'll just say, we talked. But it took many years of fighting for his family to get acknowledged, exposed, a warped investigation, and sort of get some justice for Stephen Lawrence in the process. In the meantime, no trials, no arrests, and anger towards the police was becoming palpable in London. When another young black man named Ricky Reel was killed in October in 1997, something had to change. Now, on 1:40 a.m. on the 28th of January 1997, an off-duty firefighter was driving home along North Circular Road in Edmonton, North London, when he happened across a man on fire on the side of the road in Stirling Way in Silver Street near the station. He immediately tried to help and managed to dampen out the flames before calling 999. Stephen Lawrence stays with me every single day. Documents found on the victim identified him as being Michael Menson. Michael was obviously in a very bad way at the time, and emergency services arrived, but they noticed his behaviour was also very odd. Michael spoke to the first two police officers who reached the scene, but in their reports they said that he was mumbling and incoherent and didn't seem to be reacting to his injuries in a way that was normal. They described him as being in a catatonic state and not making much sense. I don't know why they say that's not normal, because I think if you've been set on fire at the side of the road, I wouldn't be expecting too much from a victim, and that could quite easily put you into shock quite quickly, which would make you not react to your injuries and not be making much sense. But they said it was particularly odd how he was acting. Police then visited Michael's brother, Kwesi, who told them exactly the same thing. He said that Michael must have set himself alight, and Michael's family rushed to be with him at the hospital. I said that weird. Due to the extent of his injuries, Michael was transferred to a specialist burns unit in, is it Billericay? I've said that right. He had third-degree burns on 30% of his body. The skin on his neck, back and thighs and buttocks had been completely destroyed, and he would die from his injuries 16 days later on the 13th of February. Now, the initial police response. I know, Anna-Marie. Edmonton police alleged that they happened upon the scene and were not there for following a cause or response. They said they just happened upon it. They were driving by. Billericay is how he said, thank you. The scene of the crime showed that the fire that engulfed Michael initially started in Stirling Way by some telephone boxes, and a lighter was found nearby. Evidence showed that Michael had gone into one of the telephone boxes in order to try and put out the flames, but the fire was so hot it partially melted the Perspex door. He then ran down Silver Street, which is where he was spotted by the off-duty firefighter. And this makes me so sad. Like, the thought of him panicking, trying to put out the flames, going into a phone box, trying to get help, coming outside, like laying on the floor, then running up the road. Like, this man would have been in absolute agony, panic. The police concluded that it was a non-suspicious incident, something the duty officer at Edmonton failed to question, and believed Michael had set himself on fire after suffering from some sort of mental health crisis. And in the paperwork, they just said, look, he's got schizophrenia, what do you expect? Now, Michael did suffer from paranoid schizophrenia and catatonic schizophrenia, the latter which means he zoned out a lot and became disassociated. He received regular treatment at the Chase Farm Hospital, like we spoke about. Police had very little understanding and awareness of mental health issues back in the 1990s, and this caused an attitude of bias in terms of Michael rather than their own beliefs. They just believed straight away, like, and I'm going to be really honest with you, some of the language that was used around this time by the police was like, oh, he's schizophrenic, what a nutter. He set fire to himself, like this is what they do. And they weren't looking for anyone else. So they very quickly, and Michael's family, who had dealt with this kind of schizophrenia for a long time with him, kind of said maybe he did, like he was ill, like perhaps he did do this to himself. Now, the following morning, with his brother Kwesi and his sister Essie at his bedside, Michael began to explain what happened with a clear and concise recollection of the events of the previous night. Kwesi listened as Michael himself described how a group of 4 white boys had set him alight, and the family immediately alerted police and said, look, he's saying he was set on fire by 4 white boys. Now, it was only at this point that police went back out to the scene and cordoned off the scene, but they still showed very little interest in listening to Michael. His version of events should have changed the direction of the investigation, but the police showed little interest in taking the case serious. Due to his mental health and no doubt the extreme pain medication he was given, Michael did indicate on one occasion that the fire was self-inflicted. For most of his lucid moments, he was adamant that he had been attacked. Despite being lucid during the first week in hospital, even doing crosswords and reading, Michael wasn't visited by any officers at this point. Thank you, Lindsay. Linda, sorry. Thank you, Linda. It just came in the first couple of letters. Thank you, Linda, for subscribing. So this man was well enough to sit up and complete crosswords, read books, and he was fine. But yet the police did not take this opportunity to go and interview him. And his family was saying, like, he sat up, he's talking. And the police were like, we'll get round to it. Like, it just doesn't bear thinking about. Like, he had extreme burns and injuries, and you would think you would want to rush to him to get as much evidence as you could before something happened. 100%. This is racism in the Metropolitan Police, which we're still seeing to this very day. Back then it was even worse, and we don't only have a black male, but we have someone whose family, they're from Ghana, and they're just not taking anything seriously. Now, Alex, his sister, visited police daily to beg for someone to take a formal statement from her brother. Thank you, Zero. But no one would. DCI Roger Williams turned up on one occasion, didn't speak with Michael but spoke with Kwesi and then left, and the family didn't see any other officers after that. Frustrated by the police's apparent disinterest, Michael gave 3 statements to his brother about the events of that night, yet police dismissed them as muddled thoughts of a traumatised victim with severe mental health issues. Michael developed septicemia from his injuries, slipped into a coma and died of a heart attack at just 30 years of age. Following his death, the family had no time to grieve. Instead, they were forced to campaign for the investigation to get it changed from a self-unaliving to a murder investigation, and they refused to back down. Their solicitor, Michael Schwartz, drew parallels to the botched Stephen Lawrence investigation and how police failures may have jeopardised any future convictions for black people in London. Following Michael's death, the case was passed on to an area investigations team who began a murder inquiry. This was led by DCI Robin Scott. The family's hope for a proper investigation were quickly extinguished, and the relationship between the family and the police became strained quickly. The police told the family, if you carry on complaining, we'll stop doing our job. We don't want to see you every day. We don't want to see you every week. We don't want you to talk to the media. We don't want you to appeal for nothing. You either need to shut up and be good people, or we won't help you at all. The newspapers were full of stories about Stephen Lawrence and Billy Joe Jenkins' case, but no one attempted to raise awareness for what happened here. And it was Alex, his sister, who actually instigated press interest. And once again, the police weren't happy. The police did not want his name out there. They already had Stephen Lawrence all over the newspapers. London was going mad. The whole of the UK was saying, how can this happen? How can Stephen Lawrence, a young, successful, intelligent black male, be walking home and be stabbed to death on the streets of London and you do nothing? And now we have Michael Menson, who set a light on the side of the road. And the police didn't want his name out there. They didn't want people to know. No problem. Police told the family they had undertaken door-to-door inquiries, but locals claimed that nothing had, so sorry, let me say again. The police told the family, look, we've done door-to-door inquiries on both roads where Michael was seen on fire. So the family then went out and asked the people in the road. They were like, we've never spoke to the police. Like, we've never spoke to a police officer. Hey, Alicia, you're late again. So the family were then told the police intended to undertake an operation one night, which would involve stopping drivers and pedestrians in hope of obtaining new information. Cressy went to that spot that night to see this investigation take place, and not one person was questioned in relation to who had set Michael on fire at the side of the road in London in 1997, Dee. It was only during the inquest that confirmation of the family's worst fears had been learned. Letters sent from the police to solicitors indicated they still perceived the incident as self-inflicted and felt no crime had occurred, and they were wasting their time and resources by looking into it. The family had enough, and again the advice of the police submitted a formal complaint in the investigation and the conduct of officers involved in the police complaints authority. Now, the complaints process identified several fundamental errors in the investigation. And she's been late 960 times, sweet cheek. She's been here once on time. Like, she literally is on very thin ice. When she's here on time, my jaw hits the floor, and it shouldn't happen that way. So in September of 1998, the Metropolitan Police wrote to Michael's family and admitted there had been fundamental errors. Those errors included: they failed to take a statement from Michael while he was alive. Like, that is massive. Like, you had the chance. He was trying to tell you. That's time that can never be got back. She's left before I even said it. Failure to cordon off the scene for 12 hours, thus losing vital evidence and witnesses. Ignored hospital staff when they relayed Michael's version of events, and incorrectly recorded Michael's injuries as non-life-threatening, although he died from his injuries. So there was nothing done at all. No, you can never get back that time. You can never get back that time again in order to take those statements. Officers were facing disciplinary proceedings. No apology was ever offered to the family. It hurts more when you have to demod people due to their behaviour, Grey. So the inquest that happened on the 7th of September 1998. The inquest into Michael's death was opened at Hornsey Coroner's Court, and medical staff and social workers confirmed that Michael was not potentially wanting to unalive himself on that day. One of the first police officers on the scene, Joanna Walsh from Edmonton CID, gave evidence to the inquest and admitted although Michael had claimed to be attacked, she had ignored what he'd said. She said, look, he had schizophrenia. I had no reason to listen to what he said, basically. The inquest also heard that out of the 4 officers involved, an inspector, a detective, Detective Chief Inspector, they were all in the process of retiring, so weren't taking their job seriously. They just wanted to close the whole investigation. A pathologist for the family gave evidence as to Michael's injuries, and it was his conclusion, along with that of 3 other professionals, that finally opened up the case. Dr. Ian Hill concluded it was unlikely that Michael's burns were self-inflicted due to the nature of where they were and the pattern of distribution on his body being on his back and not his front. He explained that people who set themselves alight tend to do so by pouring fluid over the top of themselves and burning the whole of the front of their body. This didn't fit with Michael's injuries that were all on the back of him. Michael Menson. The evidence heard during the inquest was damning, and the coroner concluded the cause of Michael's death was unlawful killing, not self-unaliving. I know, Julie, it was just a lazy way of them just putting this case out of the way. An inquiry was launched into the initial police investigation undertaken by Ben Gunn, Chief Constable of Cambridgeshire Police, and it was overseen by the Police Complaints Authority. A statement given by one of the first officers on the scene showed the assumption of self-unaliving made by police was immediate and skewed the entire investigation. They were just tunnel visioned the whole way through. With race relations between the black community and the Metropolitan Police at an all-time low following the Macpherson inquiry into the Stephen Lawrence murder, the new Labour government were conscious that no repetition could happen. The family solicitor wrote to Home Secretary Jack Straw, and this was followed by a meeting between Straw and the Menson family. Thank you. Almost 2 years after Michael's death, Operation Chichester was created, and the case was to be investigated by the Racial and Violent Crimes Task Force at Scotland Yard. Now, they started to put up posters like this. They actually started, for the first time, appealing for information in this case about what could have happened. So you had like this: can you help? Approximately 10 p.m. on Monday 27th of January 1997, Mr. Michael Taki Menson left his home in Southgate. At 1:40 a.m. on Tuesday 28th of January, was found on the North Circular Road N18 near Edmonton, British Rail Station and Silver Street, and he subsequently died, and they were asking for witnesses to come forward. This should have been done way before this. This was literally too little too late. For the first time, police openly stated the investigation was definitely racially motivated and that a number of suspects had been identified. Just as with Stephen Lawrence's family before them, the Menson family had put their trust into the police to get justice for Michael. They didn't have anywhere else to go. The new investigation would not only have to reinvestigate the crime under a whole new premise, which was now murder, but revisit the previous investigation to obtain as much evidence as they possibly could. Deputy Chief Commissioner John Grieve asked Kenneth Davis to oversee the investigation and assemble a team of 12 officers with relevant experience to revisit the case and reinvestigate without prejudice. Davis said the investigation was politically charged, and the pressure he felt by the team, they were absolutely determined to solve the case. The family were told they had found 43 new lines of inquiry to investigate, and the fact that all these years later, like 2-3 years later, they already had 43 lines of investigation means that the police could have found way more than that back when this first happened. And that's heartbreaking to know that Michael was begging them on his deathbed to take him seriously and listen to the information he was trying to give them, which was that 4 white men had attacked him and set fire to him. And the police were just like, no, you're schizophrenic, we don't believe a word you say, you've done this yourself. This would be absolutely heartbreaking. Thank you. The Real GC, did you just subscribe? It didn't come up on my screen, but then it says you did. Thank you if you did. Grieve had a history in counter-terrorism and thus experienced intensive surveillance techniques. He decided these skills should be used to solve the case. For the first time in history of the programme on Crime Watch, Michael's family also appeared, and in January 1998 they sat alongside Grieve and appealed for help, and this yielded 2 crucial new leads. Meanwhile, the police were going through 200 statements collated by the initial investigation. It emerged there had never been properly assessed any of the statements that were taken or entered into the Holmes police system correctly, simply because they assumed he had done it himself. It soon became apparent there was a group of 3 individuals that lived close to where Michael had died who were of particular interest, not least because one suspect's name had been given time and time and time again by people: Harry Constaneo. Police identified a known notorious group of individuals as key suspects. And these were them. I hope I'm pronouncing their name properly, but you can see them here if I'm not. So you have Harry Chamberlaeus Constantineo, who's 26, unemployed, from Edmonton. Mario Pereva, 25, student from Edmonton, Ozge Sevat, 22, from Edmonton, and Husseini Abdallah, 50, also employed, from Edmonton. The group had a history of bad behaviour in the area, and Constaneo was known as Harry the Terminator and was a violent individual. Together with his friends, he'd hang out at a local petrol station and had been notorious in the area. Constaneo was the only person in the group with his own home, and police established the flat in Harrington Place was a meeting place for the group. This gave police the opportunity to use the intrusive surveillance technique that were a speciality for John Grieve. The team gained access to the flat and installed a microphone in the wall, but despite 24/7 surveillance, none of the group mentioned Michael at all. The team then decided to use a trigger method to get the group talking. They served handwritten letters to each of the suspects asking for their assistance. Each letter would be delivered personally by an officer and signed for by the recipient so they knew that they had received them. Abdullah regularly spent time at Constaneo's flat, and although Abdullah played no part in the crime, he enjoyed being associated with the notoriety and referred to it constantly. This in turn caused the group to talk about it too, and police finally caught them on tape bragging about what they'd done, with one of them referring to Michael as having burnt like a chicken. The team decided to deploy a hidden camera to get as much evidence as possible, but it was found by Constaneo and damaged with a screwdriver. Constaneo quickly alerted associates on the phone that he thought his whole flat had been bugged. The police realised the investigation was jeopardised and they had to act quickly. No, the guy on the edge was the older one who wasn't actually involved in the crime but was a friend of theirs. It was the three on this side. Constaneo, Pereira and Abdullah were arrested immediately and taken to Edmonton's police station, where Constaneo admitted taking part in the attack on Michael but denied that it was murder. Despite being played incriminating audio evidence, Pereira denied any involvement. Constaneo and Pereira were charged with murder and perverting the course of justice, and Abdullah was charged with perverting the course of justice by lying and keeping information to himself. Sevat evaded police and went on the run to northern Cyprus within days of Michael's murder. The UK had no extradition agreement with the Turkish Cypriot authorities, and it was down to the goodwill of the Cyprus police to assist with the investigation. As it turned out, Sevat had already been on the radar long before the UK police contacted them, and he was arrested and questioned by Scotland Yard detectives. So we're going to now get into what actually really happened on that night. So one of the residential carers where Michael lived reminded Michael that he was due at the hospital to have a regular injection of his medicine. So Michael left home quickly in Southgate around 10 p.m. on Monday the 27th of January 1997. 2 buses ran at that time of the night, but unfortunately for Michael he got on the wrong bus, and this is literally wrong place, wrong time. When he reached Silver Street, he realised he wasn't on the normal route to the hospital, and he was in an unfamiliar place, so he panicked and got off of the bus, trying to rectify where he was going. Thank you, Karen. Now, there are many conflicting details of the events that night, but what is definitely known from earlier that day is Pereira's girlfriend had told him that a black guy had winked at her, which enraged him. He became very volatile and spent all day being racist, horrific, and saying horrific things about the black community, and especially black men. He then got his friends together and they agreed that they must find a black man to attack. Spotting Michael on the bus, Pereira indicated to his friends he was going to be their target. The group followed Michael as he got off the bus at Sweetbriar Walk and attacked him. Pereira poured an accelerant onto Michael's blue anorak and Sevat lit it, while Constaneo stole Michael's Walkman from him. Conflicting reports suggest the group were on the bus with Michael and another that the group were in a car, but however they chanced upon Michael. Sevat and Pereira had unsuccessfully attempted to set Michael on fire and went away to find accelerant. They returned to find Michael again, who was a little bit further down the street at this time and had terrified that he'd just been attacked. It was now 1:40 a.m. and Michael, lost and confused, must have been absolutely petrified as they doused him in white spirit and set him alight. Constaneo acted as a lookout at this whole time to make sure they had time to set him on fire. And it's thought at this point that Michael was on the floor and he had been beaten, but not badly enough that he couldn't have got up. He kind of just got into a ball to protect himself, kind of just literally fight or flight. He decided just to freeze. He didn't decide to freeze, sorry, he did freeze out of fear. And he could have no idea what was coming next. I think he thought if he just stayed on the floor, they would just leave him alone. However, they ended up dousing him in white spirit and setting him alight. Pictures and evidence from the crime scene showed that Michael attempted to lean into a telephone box to dampen the flames, and when this didn't work, he left a trail of burnt flesh and clothing behind him as he ran down Silver Street, which is when the off-duty firefighter caught sight of him on the grass verge, desperately attempting to rip the burning clothing off his body. Michael then told numerous emergency responders how he'd been attacked, even describing the men involved. However, the police decided to ignore this. After all, he was a schizophrenic, right? So they said he did it himself. When the men involved were charged, associates who had previously been too scared to speak began to approach police and give evidence about the crime, which enabled police to build a really solid case. Servat's trial was the first to begin in September 1999 in northern Cyprus, with Michael's siblings in attendance. On the 25th of November 1999, he was found guilty and sentenced to 14 years in a Cyprus jail for manslaughter. Constantine and Pereira's trial began in November 1999 at the Old Bailey. Again, Michael's siblings attended every single day of proceedings, and they heard the appalling events of the night of the 27th of January 1997 and were absolutely heartbroken to understand that Michael had been telling everybody this the whole time, that he had survived this brutal attack for 16 days. The court heard how Pereira had excused what had happened and would constantly tell people, "Who gives a fuck what we did? He was black." The group also referred to Michael as the burnt geezer, never calling him by name despite the fact he was all over the media and people knew exactly who he was. And Pereira voiced his concern over whether the police could link him forensically to the crime. On 21st of December 1999, Pereira was sentenced to life for murder and perverting the course of justice. Constantine was given manslaughter sentence of just 14 years, plus perverting the course of justice, while the judge noted that although he had issues with mental health, he had to serve a minimum of 6 years. Abdullah was found guilty of perverting the course of justice and sentenced to 21 months in prison. Once the trials had ended, the PCA, the Police Complaints Authority, were able to resume their inquiry into the initial police investigation. In 2003, 6 years after Michael's brutal murder, the inquiry was finally completed, and although the report on their findings was unpublished, details were released, which confirmed they were found evidence of negligence and institutional racism again. The inquiry concluded the investigation was unprofessional, uncoordinated, in parts negligent and in best inept, and most of this centred around the fact they didn't care about another murdered black man. As well as failing to follow up importantly for forensic material, racism reared its ugly head, and shockingly they discovered that not only had the police instructed special branch to investigate the Menson family to see if somehow political motivation might be at play, just as they had with the Lawrence family by the way, but the inquest told how one of the officers involved said to a pathologist, "I don't know why they're so fucking worried. This only concerns a fucking black schizophrenic." Despite the findings, the CPS said that no charges would be levelled against any of the officers involved because they did not consider this to be grave enough to warrant a trial. Presumably, negligence of a senior police officer during an investigation was considered a minor indiscretion when it was a black victim we're dealing with. They did, however, state they would have disciplined 4 senior officers involved if they had still been serving. Unfortunately, these guys had gone into early retirement. Following the outcome of the inquiry in 2004, the Metropolitan issued a police statement saying, "The police force today is very different from that of 1997. It introduced large-scale procedural changes with regards to dealing with racist incidents, murder investigations and family liaison." Notice how there's no apology there. There's no sorry. There's no taking accountability. It's just like, well, that was a very different time and we've moved on now. All of these 7 years later, we're completely different. But yet we're still now in 2024 and we're in exactly the same fucking world. It was only due to the tenacity of Michael's family that his killers were ever brought to justice. As a legacy to Michael, his murder triggered a better understanding within police, apparently, of mental health issues, and went some way to changing in laws in order to protect the vulnerable. Alongside the inquiries into the botched investigations into the murders of Ricky Reel and Stephen Lawrence and Michael Menson, the case also went some way to help change the inherent racism within the police. But ultimately, it was the love and tenacity of a good family that ensured Michael got his justice. And I do believe all the men are out of prison right now. No, I know. That's what the files say. It's absolutely no change. No change. If anything, they just cover it up a lot more. They are out now, yeah. I'm just going to put some pictures up of Michael and his band and stuff. I'm just going to go back to the beginning. This is Michael Menson. This is his siblings attending every trial, whether it's in this country or Cyprus. The three on the left are his killers, and Abdullah, the old man at the end, actually knew about what happened, so he perverted the course of justice. Michael in one of his pop videos. %, the whole of it. Everyone's been, it's not just people in prison that are failed by mental health, it's people in society, man. Especially men. How do you set fire to another human being, man? It's my worst nightmare. Like, anything like that happened, but doing that to another human being and then referring to him in jokes as like a burnt chicken or the burnt geezer and all of that stuff. Like, he was so much more than that. And like, I didn't see like the police do like with schizophrenia where they kind of wrote him off as the victim. Like, he struggled every day of his life, man. He struggled every day of his life. And he deserved better. We'll play a bit of his famous song a little bit again. Oh no, that's a Crime Watch appeal. Where was the song that we listened to? For anyone that came in late, Michael was a part of Double Trouble and the Rebel Embassy. So that's 2 cases on tonight, 2 heartbreaking cases. Both I've cried for. And I am sat in my blanket. Nanny actually cock blocked me tonight. So thank you for that, Nanny. Nanny Kate killed my dating ability, which was the highlight of this live for me. One of the happy moments. Where a man came in and asked me out, and Nanny Kaz said, "You don't want to date her, she's in her pyjamas every day by 9:30. And I'm not even in my fucking pyjamas. I'm fully dressed. And he went, "I would, I'll sleep with you in the Care Bears." I was like, "No, Nanny K's right. I haven't got time for this."
Hi Hayley, I've come to issue my public apology.
Okay.
So I would like to say that friends often fall out and say mean things in the heat of the moment. Mm-hmm. And I would like to apologise if you felt that the mean words that I said caused you any alarm and distress and upset you in any way. So I thought it was only right that I come and in front of the whole community to issue my apology, because I feel like everybody deserves to hear it.